Two trucks having sex. Two trucks having sex. My muscles involuntarily flex. Two trucks having sex. Two trucks having sex. My muscles involuntarily flex. Two pickup trucks making love. American made.
Listen up, Auto Thoughts and Decepticlowns. You are listening to Prime Cuts, a non-linear history of the Transformers franchise on television. I'm one of your hosts, Nero.
I'm your other host, Audrey.
This was supposed to be the last. This was supposed to be like the season wrap-up episode. We were supposed to be out of this. We were supposed to be done. But Transformers Energon turns out has hands.
Yeah.
It fought back.
I want to apologize in advance for the vibes
Why?
of this
What's
episode.
It's just Tuesday.
It is 9:12 p.m. on election night in the United States. I am 3 10% ABV beers into my evening. And these were very bad episodes. So that's where I'm at mentally.
So you were sick.
And it's been 2 weeks since...
Yeah.
Oh, and I'm still recovering from being sick.
So 2 weeks ago, you were sick, and I had just gotten dental work done. And we were like, I don't want to do this shit. I don't want to record anything. And then I got sick the next week, and you were still sick, so we still couldn't record it. And now we're finally here on this most auspicious of days to talk about 3 of the worst fucking episodes of anything I've ever seen in my life.
I thought you were going to say 3 of the worst candidates you've ever seen in your fucking life. Also true. If we're counting Jill Stein.
Yeah, and trust me, nobody is. We watched episodes whatever to whatever of Transformers Energon. It's the 3 before the last 2. Those are the important ones because that's when it stops happening.
5 to 3 before the end.
Well, yeah. The first episode here, and it'll be interesting for me to recall what happened. I mean, I can kind of remember what happens in these other episodes because it's mostly just about people getting big. Because I watched the third one tonight, and then I watched the previous 2 last Sunday 2 weeks ago. So let's see if I could how good my summary of Formidable or Omega Convoy once again is. And if you can believe it, it's Omega Convoy once again. Misha appears for the first time in forever, looking sadly upon the Wilting Plains planet, the place where Alpha Q is buried. His planets are all dying due to a lack of Energon sunlight. Cybertron comes through the space bridge with Optimus and the other Autobots still on Cybertron fighting towards central control. Six-Shot comes up with a plan to disperse them and detonates the built-up Energon gas pipelines, causing a huge fog of the stuff to disperse over the planet. Dr. Jones and Kicker go to find out if there's a flaw in the Energon towers, while Cybertron grows even stinkier. A massive layer of Energon gas extending out into space, destroying Alpha Q's quote-unquote unripe planets. Upon seeing this, Optimus finally realizes that Unicron's soul still remains infecting Galvatron. He flies into the gas cloud with seemingly no plan and is met by Galvatron, who soundly beats the shit out of him. Thankfully, Primus bails him out, and Optimus Supreme sucks up all the stinky Energon gas to become huge once more. The Autobots fight it out on the now cleared surface, attempting to take down the Energon towers. When an enraged Galvatron screams at Six-Shot that he's useless, the latter decides to follow Galvy's orders and pump more power towards the volatile Energon towers, which all begin blowing up. The planetary engines are taken out, the Energon towers are destroyed, but Galvatron still laughs, telling Rodimus that Optimus has been possessed by the soul of Unicron. Is it true? Alpha Q sure wonders so. Okay, so there's something important that happens in Transformers Superlink, specifically, starting with either this episode or the next episode. And it's one of the strangest things I've ever seen in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, Mirage or Shock Fleet in Japanese, you know, his character, you know, he's loyal, but he's also just kind of been kind of normal. He's been like the least idiotic of the Blowjob Brigade.
Debatable, but sure.
I mean, when you're comparing him to Demolisher and Snowcat.
I mean, I think Demolisher gives him some running. He gets really easily duped by these assholes.
Yeah. Well, Superlink decided in the final running that actually Shock Fleet needed more than just being the third member of the Blowjob Brigade and also a guy who still says shock a lot like he used to when he was Tidal Wave or Shockwave. And what happens is that he becomes funny gay for Galvatron for no... It just starts happening. He just starts... I don't understand what is happening or why it's happening, but he just starts being like fawning and being like, I love Galvatron Sama so much, and doing like weird poses and doing like an effete voice. It's fucking bizarre because there's none of this in any other episode before this one. And then all of a sudden we're just slamming right into funny gay.
Well, I mean, he's always been like a very big Galvatron fanboy.
Yeah, but like, it's, I don't know what's happening. I don't know why it's happening. I believe even in this is of course Exiles and Energon. However, I believe in the third episode there's a moment that they just didn't remove where Mirage pirouettes and a heart appears.
That is true. I believe I remember that.
That's what that's from. That's what the context of that is. That they just completely wiped it out because, I mean, to be fair, it's completely baffling. I'm trying to remember what else happens because I remember the really funny thing that happens in the next episode. But
so most of my notes are incomprehensible to me at this point.
Excellent.
I can go through them in order. I think the first one is about a conversation between Optimus and Rodimus.
Uh-huh. Where
I wrote, not what Fall Out Boy meant by kill God, then we'll talk. Or Chuck Palahniuk, for that matter. I'm pretty sure the second note has to do with Optimus slurping up all the gas, which is the logical conclusion to Big Stinky.
Yeah, it really is. He inhales all the Big Stinky. I love that apparently yet again, like for the upteenth time, Energon Optimus Prime flies into danger, sight unseen, and gets his ass beat for like 5 minutes straight until God himself has to step in.
Yeah, and then I had what if you made a fart so stinky it blew you apart? Can't remember what that's about. I mean, obviously it has to do with the gas, just can't remember the specific context for it.
We're finally done with the instinctification for the most part. He sucks all the gas up and he becomes kind of big, but not as big as what we're about to see. Oh, we're gonna get so big. It's all falling apart at this point. Like the fucking structure of the show, the scaffolding that allows a show to exist has collapsed.
Yeah.
There's nothing undergirding any events that are happening.
I do want to call attention to 3 lines that I picked out as being particularly funny.
Mm-hmm.
One is, this gas has really messed with your marbles. Which is pretty good.
Uh-huh.
Can't remember who says it to who, but pretty good. Optimus who is it that's huge at this point, even?
I don't think anyone's huge.
Who gets
yet.
huge? Who gets huge
Optimus
first?
gets huge first because he sucks up all the gas.
Then it's Galvatron, I think.
Galvatron gets huge next because he sees Optimus get huge from sucking up all the gas and goes, "Now there's an idea."
Yeah, so Galvatron goes to Optimus and says, "Don't think that just because you're over 1,000 feet tall that I won't take you on." Which is also very good. And then my favorite, particularly in a post 9/11 world, is, now it's time to bring down the towers.
Oh man,
Happy
is...
Election Day, everyone. God bless America.
Yeah, not a lot interesting happens in this episode. Mostly it's just funny that Optimus sucks up all the gas. Like that one time Star Platinum vaped all of Justice in JoJo's Part 3 with his big cool lungs. No, all of the really funny shit starts happening in the next episode. So I vote we just move on.
Yeah. Most of my notes for the next episode, fortunately, are just quotes.
Moving on to the next episode, Galvatron Terror, or in Japanese the title is Terrifying, the Giant Galvatron.
Galvatron Terror!
Would you believe that Six Shot is getting beaten up by Galvatron again? Galvatron,
birthday boy.
Galvatron yells at him for interfering in his battle with Optimus yet again before heading down to the Super Energon Temple with Starscream, leaving the Blowjob Brigade in charge of watching Six Shot. Elsewhere in the base, Sally has managed to wriggle her way through some wreckage and is now loose in the command center. Six Shot reads some manga and then pulls his most devious plan yet, tricking 3 of the stupidest guys on Cybertron into leaving the room. He locks the Blowjob Brigade in a series of sealed tunnels before heading off to beat Galvatron to the Super Energon Punch. Sally then sneaks into the command center, broadcasting down to the Primus chamber and telling them that she is now in control of Cybertron's systems. She clears the way for Kicker and the rest of the Autobots to leave. Dr. Jones wants to take Kicker down to stop Galvatron from using the Super Energon, but Kicker tells him to go be a goddamn father for once and help Sally. Starscream busts the Blowjob Brigade out of their predicament, only to be attacked by the Autobots and pinned down. Meanwhile, Galvatron is ambushed by Six Shot on his way to the temple, and nearly gets taken out. Scorponok rescues him and battles Six Shot while a wounded Galvatron drags his way to the temple. Dr. Jones arrives to rescue Sally, who instead runs to hug Rad and talk to the Autobots, which causes Dr. Jones to briefly freeze up like an old computer. Galvatron reaches the Super Energon, using it to become huge and badly textured. He squishes Six Shot like a bug before growing even hugerer and rampaging around Cybertron. Optimus and Omega Supreme fly out to meet him in battle.
So my only note for this episode that isn't a quote is how bad the textures on these big dudes look.
Holy shit.
It's like someone crumpled aluminum foil.
He looks worse than fucking Omega Prime did when he was
big. Oh yeah. Oh no. This texture is garbage.
You have to look at it so much. It's so much of the episode just looking at this. It feels like he touched it. It feels like greased up aluminum foil. It feels like if I touched him, it would be wet somehow. I hate it.
I mean, to me, it looks like a conspiracy theory hat, like a tinfoil hat.
Absolutely,
the classic tinfoil. It looks bad. All you need to know is it looks really bad, but mostly like foil.
It looks so fucking atrocious. And then some parts of it, some parts of it look like foil, and some parts of it just look, I don't know. They look like, they just look fucking bad. There's shots in the next episode where people are flying in front of Galvatron's body, and in the background you can just see these gigantic, hideously textured polygons, floating around. Okay, so here's just some important bits here. Number 1, order of business. Now, obviously, Six Shot has been living in his brother's shadow for a while now, right? But I would like to congratulate him on surpassing his brother in terms of dying badly.
Well, yeah.
He gets literally squished like a bug. By the giant Galvatron after trying and failing to kill him. And then there's Dr. Jones just getting handed repeated L's, which is pretty great. I like to see that.
That is true.
Where Sally is basically just pressing all of the buttons on the Decepticon's computer and fucking everything up, and when he goes to rescue her, he and Rad go to rescue her, she just hugs Rad instead and just completely ignores him.
Yeah. So my quotes for this episode is when Kicker is confronting Dr. Jones, he goes, in a scary situation, a kid like that needs to be with her father more than you know. Not that father. Not that one. I don't know who says this. I don't know who says these next two, but both of them are something else. So the next one is, take your medicine like a good boy. Which I believe is Galvatron saying to one of his troops.
That also sounds like a Cyclonus line. I can hear that in Snowcat's voice.
It's not. It's definitely not Snowcat. I am fairly certain it is Galvatron. It even might be Galvatron saying it to Optimus.
Interesting. How interesting.
I believe the next one is from the Blowjob Brothers as they go into the pool. Which is, we're totally vibing now.
No. Okay, I actually have the source on this one on TF Wiki. Apparently that is when it's Kicker and the Omnicons going down to the pool.
Okay.
And Kicker says, I can feel the Energon vibes. And these two strong arms go, vibes, cool. We're totally vibing now.
No thoughts, just vibes. And then the last one is between, I believe, this is also probably on the TF Wiki, but I believe it is between Mirage and Demolisher. It might be Snowcat. Mm-hmm. Where he goes, at least we have each other.
This is Mirage Snowcat, yeah.
Yeah, well, at least we have each other. Mirage, you really have to stop reading all those romance novels.
See, I guess that's what they turned the, gay for Galvatron jokes into, where they just made Mirage just generally a romantic, which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
But once again, he has never displayed any of these, character tendencies at all. Yeah, I mean, the Six Shot is really kind of a microcosm of an Energon character, right? Where he appeared and he had an interesting character hook when he first showed up, and then he was immediately turned into a joke, and then he spent 6 episodes doing the same thing and saying the same things to the same characters, and then he died. And that's every Energon character. That's how all of them go.
Yeah.
Except for, by the way, Combiner Watch for these cool guys, these super cool guys that you should be buying these toys for. I don't think Superion appears in 2 of these episodes. And the Decepticon Combiners are just they just kind of fly around and say nothing. Why are these fucking guys even here? Is there anything else to talk about in Galvatron Terror?
It's certainly not after 2 weeks for me.
Yeah, if there was anything I would have noted other than the Game Mirage stuff, I would have written it down probably.
Yeah, this is going to be, I think, a pretty brief episode.
Time to talk about the episode.
Because I'm not going to rewatch these episodes. To be clear,
God,
that's
no.
not happening.
Never ever do that. Never ever even once do that. Moving on to our final episode for this week is episode 49, Destructive Power. And this Japanese title is a mouthful. Terrifyingly Unprecedented, the Super Emperor of Destruction. We can cut some words out of that, guys. We can cut that down a little bit.
No, just like the rest of the episode, it needs padding.
Here's my summary. Oh my god, Galvatron is growing so big, and everyone is either worried about it or impressed by it. As Kicker and Ironhide keep heading towards the Super Energon, fueling Galvatron's rampant growth, Dr. Jones tries and fails to stay relevant to the story. Optimus arrives to fight Galvatron, but since Primus is still napping, he cannot become huge. But that's okay. He'll just tap into the bit of Unicron's essence he still harbors within himself. What does this do? Unclear. But Omega Supreme is fine with it. Ironhide and Scorponok have their 5th final confrontation, whatever the fuck, And even surprisingly competent animation and lighting can't distract from the fact that they're still talking about the same fucking shit over and over again. Kicker is cutting evil spaghetti. Galvatron has become fully possessed by Unicron and is thus trying to go to space to eat more planets, and is dragging Cybertron along behind him like a cat trailing a turd out of the litter box. Kicker finally manages to sever Galvatron's connection. Ironhide and Scorponok come to yet another non-ending, and Galvatron transforms, but he's big, so it's cool. And also, everyone thought he was going to go eat Alpha Q's planets, but nobody actually knows where he's going. Let me go over a few of the things that happen in this episode that are like
please.
repeated beats. Okay.
Yeah. Love to hear it. Would love to hear it.
Most of Kicker's time in this episode is spent arguing with his dad about whether or not cutting one strand of Energon at a time is the most efficient.
It's an efficient
way of doing
use,
this.
yeah.
And apparently the answer is yes, that is actually the most efficient use according to everyone, I guess. RC says it is, so I'm not arguing with her. Literally the only line Starscream has in this episode is "I will not let you interfere with Galvatron," to the point where like in Superlink he literally has a line where he says I won't let you interfere, and then there's a pause and he goes, "I've been saying that a lot lately." There's just so much space fighting and shooting and flying around and grunting, and Galvatron just keeps getting bigger and worse to look at every single fucking second. Is just atrocious. And eventually he becomes Unicron, and thus he like has a need to go to space and eat things. Okay. Here's the thing, right? At this point, any of the events happening just have no weight behind them at all. There's just no.
Nothing has mattered for 15 episodes at least.
Ever since they killed Unicron, I feel like, and not to say that the characters in Energon were ever a sterling example of like good character writing, right? But at least some of them had characters and points to their character before that point. And now, I mean, like I said, they just kind of arbitrarily make Mirage gay for Galvatron. There's this like the shit with Ironhide and Scorponok is so goddamn tiring. Where it's just the same shit as Ironhide's like, "Why don't you remember Alpha Q? Why don't you remember?" And Scorponok's like, "That's stupid. I follow Galvatron now." He's like, "But what about your comrades?" He's like, "I don't give a shit." It's like that over and over again, looped for like 20 episodes. And then although I want to talk about I want to talk about an actually good part of this episode, something that I noticed that it was really interesting to me.
Interesting.
So obviously, everyone listening to this knows, this show looks like fucking dog ass. It looks terrible. And a big reason for that is that the models they have for the Transformers characters just have no weight to them and are lit very flatly, right? So everything just kind of looks like a bunch of cardboard cutouts flailing around. One thing I noticed in the Ironhide versus Scorponok fight scene is that they are moving the camera and moving the models in a way that actually gives them convincing weight. Like, it still doesn't look great, but it looks more...
Yeah, okay.
It looks more like an actual fucking thing happening, right? Like, it looks as though there's momentum and weight behind these character models. And two, the lighting is much more dynamic and actually has because, like, you know, these models are just completely flat palette, right? Just completely flat colors. In the scene with Ironhide and Scorponok, there's like texture of the light shining on Ironhide's like armor, which is not something they ever do. And also they light the faces to sort of bring out some expressiveness in the very flat character model faces. I don't really know why all of this has suddenly started happening in the third to last episode. It really seems like you'd want to figure out how to make these models look as good as possible pretty early on. But I guess points for trying, I suppose.
All right, let me see what my notes are here. I do like that Six Shot dies in a God Hand Crusher attack. I love a good Yu-Gi-Oh reference in my Transformers. They just keep getting bigger, huh?
Yeah, like so much of this episode is just Galvatron laughing while slowly becoming larger.
I have a note that just says "Jump Magic Jump," and I have no idea what that refers to.
Neither do I. Oh, okay. We're gonna talk. Can we talk about the Unicron orb?
I don't remember it, but sure.
Okay, so well, we've talked about how this series sometimes struggles to depict things visually, especially when it comes to things in space. The Unicron orb is one of the most confounding ways they try to do this. So, whenever they talk about someone being influenced by Unicron, or like we talk about Unicron's like power, they just cut to like a 1 or 2 second shot of like a green orb floating in space, and then cut back to whatever else they were talking about. And the orb is never like, it never does anything, it never acts with anything. It's just sort of an orb on a black background, like a black space background. And that's just how they've decided to depict Unicron's corruption, I guess.
Okay. Cool. I have no memory of this. I have to be so honest with you.
I mean, it's not. Yeah, it's just utterly baffling. It's just completely insane. I have shows. Yeah. What are your notes?
I have one quote from this episode, which is as Galvatron continues to grow bigger. Optimus looking at him and going, "Your size doesn't intimidate me, Galvatron." Yeah, dude.
Ha ha ha.
Yeah, you a size queen?
Hee hee.
Tee hee.
Tee hee.
That and my last note for this set of episodes in general is just, oh hey, Energon Saber, we thought you were dead.
Yeah, it even gets a fucking like stock footage combination thing.
Yeah, no, there are 3 minigons. They confine it to the Energon Saber, and then Kicker destroys things strand by strand. It's great. It's good. It's good TV. It's simply good to watch.
So we have a lot of questions. Although I will just say this.
I mean, fair enough, because the rest of this episode clocked in under 30 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, with the combination of everything, we just didn't have a lot to talk about. There's only so many ways to say it's bad.
It's rancid vibes here tonight, folks. It's not a good experience for anyone here.
The show is
not good for us. It's not good for you. Apologies for it. This is where we are.
The show is just fucking bad, and it just it just keeps getting worse, and that's the thing that's really confounding me. Just like, there's no bottom yet. We haven't reached the fucking nadir of Transformers Energon. There's only nowhere to go but down. But we do have one question on Twitter, which is from Adderlock, and it just says, "Are you okay?"
No, I'm still sick, as you can tell by the coughing that has come up in this episode. And I mean, yeah, when this comes out on Sunday, we'll see who's president, huh?
How about you scroll all the way up and take us through these Discord questions?
Oh boy, it's my pleasure. If Discord would fucking work, can you please? Okay. Oh yeah. Here's a little sudden. I'll stop asking questions. Oh God, is this it? Jesus Christ,
yeah,
no!
Everything below the Ben Affleck gif.
No! Why did you do this to us?
I didn't do anything.
This is to the listeners, not you. All right, our first question's from Geist. So Six Shot literally hung around for like 6 episodes, did nothing, and died in an identical way to his brother. Who's another character you've seen that added nothing to his show's story and then died?
Hey, to be fair, Shock Blast died from being punched. Six Shot died from being stomped on. It's slightly different. I don't know if I've ever watched another show so incompetent as this one, where that would like I guess All right, let me think about
It
characters.
doesn't have to be as incompetent as this one. It just has to be something that like added a character. They were bad and were killed off shortly after.
Think about characters from like the back half of Game of Thrones. I'm just trying to like
some of the like. Okay, I've been watching Lost. And most of the characters that are added in do things to progress the plot. I would argue that Shannon didn't do much except weirdly get together with Saeed. That was a weird thing. But I guess that fridging her did progress Saeed's plot. But in terms of adding it, there are like a bunch of characters from like the tail of the plane who are in the other camp who like died, and you see them die in flashbacks, and it's like, all right, well, cool.
I have one. I finally remembered one. Cause I was like, it'd be easy to just choose like basically any fucking character from like Game of Thrones from like season 3 onwards. But I remembered one that's way more like completely arbitrary and useless. So in the 5th season of Breaking Bad, in like the very early parts of like the kind of the middle part of the season, it's the episode where the famous "Say My Name From" scene is actually. There's like another meth dealer named Declan, who is like an entirely like, he has no purpose in the story other than to be a like sort of bridge between the Heisenberg run stuff and then like this stuff with Uncle Jack. Like he is a completely sort of like nothing character. Like he's around for like 4 episodes and he dies.
All right, let's move on because we do have an ungodly number of questions. Short not Chet asked, so a few episodes ago, Optimus Prime screamed in pain and got real big. Also, Shock Blast attempted a coup and got violently crushed to death. These episodes, we have Optimus Prime screaming in pain, OP growing bigger, Six Shot attempting a coup and getting violently stomped. Are we in a time loop?
Yes.
I mean, the past 3 weeks have felt like that, haven't they?
It's all ring theory.
Is it just me, or does Sally Jones look kind of like a Sonic X character? I mean, yeah, all the humans kind of do. It's that sort of art style.
Yeah. To be fair, like for sure, there's definitely some shots where, she looks like that.
More so, but I mean, like the Armada kids did as well. It's just like the sort of generic anime kid.
Yeah, but I feel like this is closer to Sonic X in terms of chronology than I think Armada was like a little bit before Sonic X.
Right, but in terms of the look, I don't think they're that different. Aurora Energon asks, what if they introduced a Shock Blast cousin who also gets crushed by Bigfoot? What would you name him? Foot Blast.
A third one? I think I would name him... who knows? Who cares?
Tarn. Fuck it.
Yeah, Tarn. Just like another cool
we're pulling
guy.
out all the Phase Sixers. Let's go.
His name is this is fucking Shadow Striker. Yeah, hey, and he gets crushed because Unicron sits on him with his big ass.
Geist asks, did Six Shot just have that book with the robot cat girls on it with him the whole time, or did he find it in someone's desk in the command center? I don't remember what this is.
Okay, so in the second episode when he's like about to trick the Blowdry Brigade into going into the hell hallway, he's reading a comic that has the robot Catgirl maids from that really weird like special episode in it, and it's like a Transformers sized comic book. It's like a Transformers sized Tankoban. So I mean, he is a nerd, so I presume he had it already, right? Like I don't know anyone else who would have it. I don't think Demolisher knows how to read. I don't think Snowcat cares about reading. We do know canonically that Mirage reads romance novels, though. That's a fact.
At least in the English version.
Uh-huh.
Shockwave's massive honker asks, how much bigger can everyone get?
Honker.
This has to be it.
Nope. They're gonna get bigger. I almost guarantee they're gonna get although I guess they cut him off from the Super Internet, so maybe he's pretty big. He's not a Unicron big, but he's pretty big.
What did the production staff spend the last €5 of budget on?
The lighting in that one scene with Ironhide and Scorponok. That was what they spent it all on.
They didn't spend it all on anything because euros weren't introduced into the economy when this came out.
There was also some hand-drawn animation when Galvatron dunks himself in the Super Energon again.
Chet asks, is Galvatron's growth involuntary? How big will Galvatron get? Could we call him a Grand Galvatron in this form?
Do you know about Grand Galvatron?
No.
Okay, so this is something from like...
Make it quick, please.
Yeah. This is something from like the Headmasters. And in a very similar plan to this one, Galvatron on that show decides that he's going to steal Unicron's power and become large. However, this is how it is presented visually.
Great.
It's just Galvatron with a huge fat Unicron body.
Great. Looks good.
Yeah, looking good, boss.
That's a fucking hamster ball.
I mean, what's worse, that or
you know what
badly
it looks
textured?
Like? You know what
badly,
it looks.
What
you know what
like?
It looks like? It looks like those balls you get in science museums that are like collapsible.
Oh, I had one of those as a kid. I loved that.
Yeah, that's what this bad boy looks like.
What's worse, this or Galvatron tugging Cybertron around in his badly textured giant form via a tether
latter.
Attached to his
the latter.
butthole?
This at least makes me smile.
Yes,
this has charm to it.
And also, I think it's supposed to be like it's supposed to be like, oh, what a stupid plan.
Yeah, it's there's some charm to this. Okay. Werner John Herzog asks, if you were to remake The Shawshank Redemption with Cybertronian, who crawls through miles of shit? Who is Irish? Who is played by Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob? And who is the hypocritical warden? My cinema sin is that I've never watched Shawshank Redemption.
Neither have I. I don't know.
Moving on, then. Nero from Disney Mindus asks a couple of things, the first of which I'm going to skip because it very purposely has nothing to do with Energon, and we have 50 million questions. Secondly, from them is, are Megatron and Optimus Prime size queens? Yes, they are. We made this joke earlier in this episode.
We know at least one of them is.
Yes. His size does not intimidate him. Slipstream Sam asks, I'm gonna be honest here, folks, I got just about nothing. What do you think you'd notice if you skipped an episode? Because we didn't on Monday. Do you think you'd notice if you skipped an episode? Because we didn't on Monday during the Server Energon watch day.
I tell you what. Ever since, like, any point after they get to the Rift, I probably wouldn't notice if I accidentally skipped an episode. Because that's when it really starts to, like, degrade. Where it's just like, oh, they're still doing stuff in space, I guess. Because even when you're watching it in order, characters just kind of move around whenever.
I would notice having 23 minutes of my life back. Ruby Road Rage. Oh, no. Not gonna do that one. Sorry, Ruby. Veer asked, would Energon be better or worse if Six Shot actually killed Megatron and become the twist ending final
It'd be
boss?
more interesting. It would be like
I'm
something.
fucking this series has struggled from the get-go, obviously, but particularly since Unicron kicked it. Galvatron is just like not a sufficient final boss on top of Unicron at this point.
No, because he's also a complete fucking like dipshit.
Right. So yeah, I don't know if it would be better or worse, but it would certainly be more interesting.
Instead, Six Shot goes out like a bitch. Can I read his last words in the dub, by the way?
Oh, please.
So Galvatron says, "You're finished," and Six Shot says, "No, I'm Six Shot. Don't you remember?" And then he dies.
Great.
Gets squished.
Aurora asks, why did Six Shot just stand on a building to shoot Megatron instead of beelining to the temple and dunking himself in the devil juice? To be fair, the devil juice did come with consequences.
Becoming very big.
Well, and also potentially killing him.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know if he would be, if he has like the will or whatever to withstand that. I don't really know what the case is for how do you survive that.
Vera asks, is he Six Shot stupid? Yes.
Yeah, big time.
Sidewinder Sabrina asks, With this show, it is very easy to divide it into thirds, each third representing a major arc of the show, naming them 1. The search for Energon, 2. Alpha Q's world, and 3. The liberation of Cybertron. If you had the power to remove 1/3 of the show, as many feels as it's needed for a better show, which third would you scoop out? I would choose Alpha Q's world, as I feel it is the least entertaining.
No!
Liberation of Cybertron.
No! Get rid of this shit tacked on at the end and like, expand the stuff on Earth.
Yeah.
Like... what? Why would we? The Alpha Q stuff has like
none of this matters. None of this matters.
The thing about like the alternate dimension Alpha Q stuff is like, one, that's where like characters still exist in that part of the series. Like we still have Shock Blast and Alpha Q and stuff, like actually doing things in Inferno. Now, granted, of course, those arcs just kind of end, but they're at least doing anything. But, like, yeah, all this shit, get rid of this part of the show. Like, we don't need this part. Just if you want 52 episodes, you can just pace out more stuff at the beginning so we can spend more time with the characters doing stuff.
A lot of people on here in the show, par for the course, seem to be under the impression that Roadbuster/Ironhide lost his entire squad, but most of his squad were Omnicons that did survive and make it to our favorite basement-dwelling cyber deity. My question to you is who would win in a fight, Padlock or Ironhide's personal blowjob brothers?
I think they would slap
Padlock
each other.
would die. Padlock is the most dead character that I've ever seen.
But no, those Omnicons were not part of Team Ironhide, okay? Those were not part of Team...
They did not chance. They did not die badly.
They did not die badly. They did not chance. They did not have the special Ironhide face faction badge. Those were just guys who were also there doing something else. No, Ironhide lost 100% of his squad, and they died really funny.
Lastly, with all the painful and beautifully animated deaths in this series, who do you think will be immortalized as a representative of the award show this season? There are many contenders, some sad and funny, and even some pointless, but who do you think it'll be? I have to say that it's going to be Shock Blast.
Yeah, I said that Six Shot's death was funnier than Shock Blast's, but
it's not. I'm sorry, it's not.
It really isn't.
It's not.
I forgot also as well the part where, god damn it keeps happening. Shock Blast also became big before he died. He didn't become huge. He just became slightly larger than normal.
Shock Blast. Shock Blast truly was like the Godhand Crusher was like funny, but there is truly an element of like Eric William, like Monty Python animation in the stomping of Shock Blast, which is just untouchable, frankly.
Yes, like the Shock Blast thing, like it's the full thing. Like he's spent all this time like faking the like, oh, he's forced to be a toady and he's waiting to make his move, and then he makes his move, immediately loses his mind to Unicron madness, and fights Optimus and then dies.
Yeah. And again, really, just the foot coming down, it's like, oh yeah, this is a Monty Python sketch. That's fine. Alright, Vera asks, wait, is Six Shot called Six Shot because he only shows up for 6 episodes and dies after taking a shot at betraying Megatron? No, it's because they only have a limited number of copyrighted names to choose from.
Yeah. They just like, oh, what can we name this guy? We haven't used Six Shot in a while. Use him.
Yep. And finally, from Sabrina, how Six Shot is Six Shot compared to the other Six Shot? Not very. For one thing, he doesn't have 6 alt modes.
Yeah, there's really nothing about this version of Six Shot that has much to do with any other version of Six Shot. Especially not the IDW version of Six Shot. But even the Headmaster, because like the only other like version of Six Shot that's had a lot of play is the Headmaster's version, and he's still a cool ninja guy. Like he's still a badass and mysterious,
right? And like both IDW and Headmasters were at least like very good shots.
Yes,
like that was famously what they were. Six Shot isn't even like a combatant, really.
No, he's the guy. He's like the guy in the. He's the guy who's saying they fucking our pussy.
Yeah, exactly.
And
he's
says,
the rung.
He's my language.
He's the rung in that Rung and Whirl video. They're fucking our pussies.
Now you're speaking my language. I think that's it for questions.
That's it from us. Good lord, I'm so tired.
We're almost done with it. We're almost finished with the Transformers Energon. We should, by rights, we should have already been done with it, but the universe decided.
My only wish is that my exhaustion will be enough that I will actually sleep tonight.
Good luck. Godspeed.
Really?
The show is, look, infamous. This show is infamous for being like the worst Transformers show. It really is pretty bad. It's so bad. Like, I need more data on, because I'm not. I'll say the Machinima show definitely is worse than this one, but I also don't really count that as like, yeah.
Oh, the Machinima show. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
I also don't count that as a real TV show because that aired on
because it's not. It's a web series.
So that is judged by different standards. That is like the worst animated mainstream Transformers thing, sure, but it didn't air on TV.
I don't even know if I'd call it mainstream.
It was like tied to their big toy line. It was like,
okay,
they wanted people to watch it.
No,
somehow.
Listen, if there's official toy tie-ins for it, then I guess that's mainstream.
Yeah. They somehow got Judd Nelson back to voice Hot Rod again after all these years. Well, all right. Time for plugs. Yeah, we did not even make it 1 hour.
I'm literally just staring at an electoral map right now as though it'll change anything.
Close the window.
Nope. This is the hell I've consigned myself to tonight.
Prime Cuts. You can follow us on Twitter. We should probably make a Blue Sky at some point.
Yeah. Why? Elon Musk is such a good leader of Twitter.
You can find me on Twitter, Dragon Smoocher, on Blue Sky at NeroWyvern.bluesky, and on Tumblr it's like Clones with a 5 at the end of it. Projects are starting soon. Don't you worry. It's happening. Life just keeps getting in the damn way. That's it for me.
I'm Audrey. You can find me on Tumblr and Twitter and Blue Sky at Optimum on Prime. That's my funny robot internet joke. You can also listen to the other podcast I do called Pot of Greed. It's about Yu-Gi-Oh! We're getting towards the end of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, and I just came back for the first time in 4 episodes. So I had a lot to catch up on. Things are getting pretty wild.
Of course, we are part of Noise Space. .xyz, the podcast network where you can find literally any show you can think of. And if you can't find a show that you're thinking of on Noise Space, you can come and shoot me in the face. That is a guarantee.
That's you live in a concealed carry state. So
that's right. I live in a PvP enabled zone.
The last thing I will say, because this is going to come out on Sunday, is that if you are listening to this within the week that this comes out, join us next weekend. Not us as in me and Nero, but us as in me and the Moonshot Network for our Extra Life fundraiser stream. It's going to be 2 days of nonstop streaming and games and other stuff to raise money this time for victims of the Appalachian floods.
That's right. Well, until next time, for when this long nightmare finally ends, I'm going to tie some sour spaghetti to my ass and drag the earth behind me into parts unknown, transform and roll out.
I'm gonna go find the biggest man I can because his size does not intimidate me. Transform and roll out. Peach. And may we all get through this long national nightmare, whatever that may refer to for you.
Transformers.